Hi, that's my 3D printer. I've been 3D printing for about a year and man can it be a pain. I want to share with you the 10 tips I wish I knew at the start. Let's go. For my first tip, I recommend upgrading your stock spring to these. All you have to do is unscrew these knobs, remove the bed, and then replace them with these upgraded springs. This will make you level your bed a lot less. For the second tip, get a glass plate or a mirror. They're a nice flat surface to print on. You got to remember that the glass plate goes directly onto the heated bed. If you have a build surface, do not put the glass plate on top. Make sure you remove the build surface, then right on the heated bed. For the third tip, while leveling your bed and it does nothing, it may be because your screw's spinning. You see that? That shouldn't be happening. One way to fix that is to put a nut between the heated bed and the spring. Tip number 4, glue stick. Glue stick helps your PLA stick to the bed. There are a variety of reasons why it may not be sticking. Maybe your bed and X-gantry are unlevel. The nozzle could be too far away, or your bed could be too cold. You don't need to put glue stick everywhere, just where your model is going to print, and then just a light layer. Bonus tip. This was actually filmed like a couple days later. Always remember to level your bed while it's warm. And if you're using a glass plate, it absorbs more heat, so you may actually have to raise your bed temp higher for PLA for everything to work. I personally print at 65 degrees. Tip number 5, when leveling the bed with the paper method, you want to make sure that the nozzle isn't so close to the paper that you had to push the springs on the bed down to do it. Watch this. See, it moved a bit. That's way too close. This is what it looks like when the nozzle's too close. It actually drags in the glass and etches it. You don't want to do that. Speaking of things you don't want to do, you never want to lift your X-gantry just by this side. You can make it unlevel, and that's because there's only one screw on this side moving it up and down. If you did what I just did, and I probably just made it unlevel, you're going to want to take a ruler and measure on each side. And then tighten this wheel right here with the eccentric nut and an Allen wrench to fix it. Don't touch it. For tip 8, you're going to want to make sure your belts are always tight on your X and Y gantry, and make sure your eccentric nuts are tight so there's no wobble in your bed or on your extruder. Tip 9, if you want to change your filament, you have to warm up your extruder. And to do that, you press the menu button, the temperature, preheat PLA, and then PLA end. Boom. And that's a safe way to do it because it'll heat up your extruder and turn on the cooling fan. Once it's at temperature, you can come back to your module, press the menu button, go to motion, move axis, extruder. See, I didn't heat it up and it's too cold and won't let me do it. But once it's hot, you can back it up like 50 millimeters or something. Then you just reverse the steps when you put the new filament in. It's got to be hot, and then you go back to move axis and extruder and then do it in the positive direction. This is your Z limit switch. This controls how high your nozzle is off the bed. You fine-tune this with Allen wrenches and sliding it up and down. If you can't get it just right, there's a tool for you, and it's called Probe Z Offset. You go to Configuration and Probe Z Offset. You can set it here before the print even starts. While the printer is going and doing its thing, if you notice that your nozzle isn't close enough to the bed, you can hold the button down and then adjust it and then add the setting. And you can fine-tune it while the printer is going. I think it's a really powerful feature. Okay, that was 10 tips. I have a couple more. This is the original board that comes with your printer. It makes it so loud. I really recommend upgrading to the 4.2.7. Super quiet. Another one to consider is getting a Raspberry Pi, loading Octoprint on it, and connecting it to your 3D printer. It's more than just removing the steps of adding an SD card. There's bed visualization with BL Touch, there's time lapses with Octolapse, and so many different plugins that you could use. It's really worth your time to dive into that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.